Welcome back to the show. Today I want to share some thoughts with you on it didn't start this way. It didn't start this way. I've been a big student of some really successful people over the last 20, 25 years. And that habit of studying successful people hasn't stopped. And just recently, I had this opinion of this certain gentleman, that which I won't name his name. He's very aggressive, very loud, very in your face, and very direct. So I thought for some reason that this guy had always had his stuff together. He had always been successful. Maybe he was born on the right side of the tracks. Maybe he was born into money, or he had some wonderful education. But I watched an interview on him online the other day, and it was eye-opening. And it really echoes a lot about what I've been reading over the last 25 years or so about people who have climbed from the bottom to the top. Just to give you a little bit of history on this guy. Again, I'm not going to say his name, but he was born in another part of the world. He was abused by boys overseas when he was a boy. Came to the United States, didn't know English, got the food for the family out of dumpsters, and he was really struggling for a long time. So he thought that for some reason he was destined to be poor and not able to achieve certain things in his life, until one day a friend of his gave him some information that he read and listened to that literally changed his life. And that's kind of like the big picture of what I want to share in today's show. And I think you and I have come to at least situations in our lives where we've looked at other people and we've assumed certain things about them that maybe are not true, and we don't know their backstory. We don't know their history. So we assume, I have assumed, and maybe you've assumed, that some of these people were born maybe with the right genes, or they've, like I said in the beginning, they've been born on the right side of the tracks, and you and I have been born on the wrong side of the tracks, so we have to struggle harder than most people. You're going to find by the end of this show that you and I can achieve a certain level of success if we just adjust a few things in our lives and give us some time to get where we're really trying to get to. So let me kind of jump into it didn't start this way. Calvin Coolidge, who was a president of the United States years ago, said, nothing in this world can take place of persistence. He said, talent will not. He said, nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. He said, quote, persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. I'll say it multiple times in this episode here today, that the most successful people that I've read about and have known develop daily habits that push them through some of the stuff that they really need to do, and maybe they may not want to do at that moment. Theodore Geisel created a children's book format that linked unusual drawings to creative text. His first book was rejected, listen, by 29 publishers. However, Geisel persisted, and his idea was accepted, leading to the publication of, you know who that was? The Dr. Seuss series. I think if you think about it long and hard enough, the most successful people seem to be the most persistent people. And I think there might be a connection between persistence and people that are successful. A guy named John Gray, he's a religious guy, he said, everybody wants the platform, but nobody wants the process. Again, everybody wants the platform, but nobody wants the process. The hardest working people I've ever seen are the most successful people that I've ever seen. Now, success is going to come in different forms and different definitions of success, because your definition of success might not be the same definition that I have. Again, John Gray, everybody wants the platform, but nobody wants the process. I've met a lot of people in my career who want to have the title, but don't want to put in the work and the effort that it took to have that title. Now, I'm not saying that titles are everything. In fact, I don't even like titles at all. but there are people that seem to want to take shortcuts and want the title without doing the hard work. There was a story, an ancient story, about a guy named Jeremiah, who lived about 600 BC or so. And it's a very long story. I'm not going to get into the long story of it. But he was a younger man, and he didn't think that he was fit to do a certain job. His task was to be different. His task was to relay a message that was not very welcoming to the people that he was tasked to send that message to. So he went through this difficult time. He went through this doubtful time where he thought that maybe he was born on those wrong side of the tracks. Maybe he thought that he was too young to achieve certain things, or maybe that he didn't have the right background, or maybe he didn't go to the right school. So he went back and forth arguing about whether or not he was fit to do this certain task and to relay this certain message that was pretty extraordinary, that was going to rattle some cages. Eventually, he realized that maybe it was his destiny to relay this message. And as a result of that, he was able to, through the help of a few different other people, to transform a society in a way that would not have been transformed if he would not have had the courage to relay a message that he didn't feel that he was qualified to relay. And I wonder how many times you and I have been challenged to not just relay a message or to translate a message or to share a story or to pass on some of your knowledge, that sometimes you feel that that won't be accepted. I think there's a lot of people like that who may have had a desire to make a difference in somebody else's life, but they were challenged to, maybe they had this mindset that that message would not be accepted by the people that they wanted to share that story to. In my experience, I found that a lot of people are just waiting for other people to walk alongside them in some form and give them hope, to give them encouragement, to share information with them that can help them in their life. The great author Maya Angelou said, "Courage is the most important of all virtues because without courage, you can't practice any other virtue consistently." Let me say that again. Courage is the most important of all virtues because without courage, you can't practice any other virtue consistently. I would suggest to you that fear gets in your way and gets in my way more times than we probably want to admit. Even I would say the most flamboyant and the most loud, the most aggressive, the most arrogant people that you know, I think if you dig a little deeper into their soul, their mindset, that a large part of why they behave the way they do is because they are fearful. And they react in ways that are not so polite, that are many times inappropriate because sometimes they are afraid. The rapper Tupac Shakur said one time, "Did you hear about the rose that grew from a crack in the concrete? Proving nature's laws wrong. It learned to walk without having feet." Funny, it seems to, by keeping its dreams, it learned to breathe fresh air. Long live the rose that grew from concrete when no one else even cared. I want to suggest to you that maybe there are people in your life, maybe the person that you see in the mirror every day when you brush your teeth, that you think that you can't blossom in the situation or the environment that you're in right now. I would say to you that if you consistently believe that, then you're never going to blossom in the situation and the environment that you're in right now. Some of the most successful people have come from very, very horrible situations in their lives, but they've decided, listen, they've decided to turn their lives around and change the habits and change the people that they are around. Think about that a second. How many people in your life right now are feeding you thoughts and feeding you feelings that promote this idea that you're not good enough? May I suggest to you that you are in control of the people that you choose to hang around every day. It took me a long time to get that through my thick head. I'm one of the most dense people, I think, on the planet. But once I realized that I was in control of the people that I let into my mental world, that was going to either, those people were either going to push me forward or they were going to hold me back. And maybe if you learn that now versus waiting for a very long time like it took for me to get in my thick head, that you are in control of the people that you choose to surround yourself with. And I'll be very candid with you and very transparent here with you, that some of the people that you need to separate yourself from might be in your own family. That's a little bit difficult to even say, let alone for you to hear. But some of the people that you've allowed, that maybe you were born into this family that's full of negativity. Maybe they have habits that are illegal, or maybe they're unethical, or they are just plain old negative, and they're just constantly not pushing for you, but they're trying to pull you back. As painful as this may seem, you may have to separate yourself from some of those people, maybe all of those people. And yeah, that's gonna make some waves. It's gonna make a lot of people angry. I've been there, done that, okay? But for your own sanity and for your own well-being long term, it is absolutely essential that you are very, very proactive in choosing who you want to have in your own life. The great author John Steinbeck once said, he said, "When I face the desolate impossibility of writing 500 pages, a sick sense of failure falls on me, and I know I can never do it. Then gradually I write one page and then another. One day's work is all I can permit myself to contemplate." This is the great author John Steinbeck. If you know anything about written history, I mean, John Steinbeck is known if you read a lot of books and or have read a lot of books. Let me share his quote again. "When I face the desolate impossibility of writing 500 pages, a sick sense of failure falls on me, and I know I can never do it. Then, gradually, I write one page and then another. One day's work is all I can permit myself to contemplate." So if this mindset of the great John Steinbeck worked for him, why can't it work for you? Why can't it work for me? By taking it just a little bit at a time. Some of you know that since 2009, I've been sending out a weekly motivational and inspirational email. It's called a blog. It goes out to several thousand people every week. And every week after that next email goes out, the next blog goes out, I'm faced with a blank page for the next one that I contemplate, that I mull over in my head. What's the theme going to be this week? And to be even more transparent with you, one of the reasons why I started this weekly email is to help me stay motivated, help me stay inspired, help me to stay focused. There's nothing wrong with creating habits in your life that can help you keep moving forward and to keep focused and to keep actually motivating yourself. And a byproduct of that, a win-win result of that, potentially could be helping other people do the same exact thing. Lao Zhu, the great warrior back in China years ago, he said, "If you wish to be out front, then act as if you were behind." Again, if you wish to be out front, then act as if you were behind. There's a lot of people that you know, maybe some people that you work with, who think that they have all their stuff together. And I could use a little bit more descriptive adjectives in that thought, but I won't. The most successful people are always striving to get better. Like this great guy said. He said, "Then act as if you were behind." An Arabian proverb says, "If you stop every time a dog barks, your road will never end." Again, if you stop every time a dog barks, your road will never end. You know how long it took me to get that through my head? Because there were times in my life that I would get so distracted by the idiocy, by the stupidity, by the arrogance, by the evil of other people, that when I was going down my road, where whatever I was trying to accomplish and whatever path I was trying to go down, as soon as somebody negative would start their mouth or start saying bad things about me or typing opinions on my YouTube videos or my blogs that they've never even met me, so how can they even know who I am or know what I'm all about, really? They read and they see me, but they don't really know me. So I allow that dog, that distraction to get me off base mentally and then emotionally, and then it takes me sometimes days to get back on track again. I go back to what this Arabian proverb said, is that if you allow the distractions of other people, listen, who don't know that they don't know, to get you off track, then do you know how long it's going to take you to reach any level of success in your life? It's going to take you a long time, because here's what's going to happen. As you allow the distractors in your life, the people that really aren't going anywhere, they're complaining and whining about other people and situations and life and their history and stuff like that in their own life, then you are going to allow them to distract you and listen, and to stop your momentum. Do you know how hard it is to get your momentum up to a certain point? Do you know how many days, weeks, years to get your momentum going? And then when you and I allow the dogs, the distractions, the negative people to get us to slow down that momentum, how much longer again it's going to take to get the momentum going again? So for me in my life, maybe you should adopt some of these habits too, that you need to maintain the momentum by separating yourself and not allowing certain people to get into your head, to get into your heart. I'll say this multiple times, it can be extremely difficult emotionally, because you love these people, you care about them, you want them to grow, you want to invest in them, you want to groom them, you want to see them succeed. But until they develop the habits that they need to develop consistently, then when you want it more than they do, I'm telling you, when you want it more than they do, there's really nothing you can do. So you're trying to get people going in your own life, which is now distracting you from the momentum in your life, and now you're regressing every day, that you're focusing on people and trying to help people that don't want to grow. It's like I told you 4 or 5 times now in this episode, that sometimes I can be not the brightest knife in the drawer, as somebody said recently. But it took me a long time to realize that some people are not going to grow. That's just a fact. Some people are not going to grow. So when you choose to invest in people and allow other people to invest in you, whereby their focus is to grow and to get better and to evolve, then guess what happens? Then your momentum is going to gain speed every single day. What drives me crazy, and has driven me crazy forever, is being in traffic on the highway. I would much rather, and I still do that to this day, every day I go to the gym, I don't take the main roads, I take the back roads. You know why? Because I'm moving. There's rarely ever a backup on the back roads, but there is always, most of the time, a backup on the main roads. So for me, I would like to maintain momentum and keep going, even though it's going to take me a little longer to get there. It's not a direct route to the gym or to the studio, but I'm moving, I'm not stopping, and I'm not starting, hence the momentum stops, then I have to hit the gas, take some more gas. You get the point I'm trying to make. So if you choose to surround yourself with people that will enable you to maintain momentum, you're going to get where you're trying to get to a whole lot faster. Now that brings up another point. If you do not write down where you're trying to get to over a period of time, then you're not going to get there. You're not going to know when you arrive if you don't know exactly where you're going. If you have a cell phone or a GPS in your car, then you type in where you want to get to, and the GPS then takes you or gives you directions how to get there. But if you don't know where your destination is, then how are you going to know when you get there? And I would say that probably 95% of the people in the world today don't know where they're trying to go, because they haven't invested the time to sit down and map out a game plan or a goal or some sort of dreams that they want to accomplish. And then what's even more important, a timeline, a stop point, a deadline, a date in the future that they want to accomplish something great. The great real estate developer Barbara Cochran said, finding opportunity is a matter of believing that it's there. Now, again, I read a lot about these successful people who've achieved some really cool things. And if you know anything about Barbara Cochran, she had some hiccups too. She had some struggles. I'm not going to get into all of it here. But she had some personal struggles that she had to grow through. And it was really, really hard. Again, her quote, finding opportunity is a matter of believing it's there. I think a lot of people, at least in the people that I've dealt with over the years, they think that success is for somebody else. They think that because they don't live in Beverly Hills, California, or they don't live in Paris, France, or some other part of the world that supposedly has successful people in it, that it's not for them. But I would say that the majority of people who've ever reached a level of success in their own lives have to consistently, if you will, play mind games with themselves to believe that that level of success is there and it's for them. I'll go a step farther than that. I would say that the most people who've achieved any level of success understand that they have to be the hardest working person in the room. They have to be the hardest working person that they know, because they know that they may not have been, like I said 4, 5, 6 times here, born with the right genes, or maybe they aren't the smartest knife in the, or the sharpest knife in the drawer, or they're not the brightest bulb in the drawer. But they know that if they work harder and smarter than most, then they will, more times than not, achieve some level of success in their own lives. Tom Freston said, innovation is taking two things that already exist and putting them together in a new way. Oftentimes, you and I, if we want to reach any status of any kind, and status could be anything. It could be raising a family, and that's successful, absolutely. It could be getting into a certain career, graduating from college, reaching a certain dream, having a certain net worth, whatever that looks like, because not everybody's definition of success is the same thing. If you and I choose to look at things differently than what the world looks at them or what society looks at those things, then you and I can see opportunities that most people don't see. Sun Tzu said one time, he said, there are not more than 5 musical notes, yet the combination of these 5 give rise to the melodies that can ever be heard. There are not more than 5 primary colors, yet in combination they produce more hues that can ever be seen. There are not more than 5 cardinal tastes, yet combinations of them yield more flavors that can ever be tasted. I would say to you, and I have to remind myself of this all the time, that if I look beyond the obvious, if I look beyond what most people see, then I will be able to experience more things than most people can experience, because I look beyond what most people look at. Steve Jobs, the great Steve Jobs, former CEO of Apple, this concept has impacted my life in a big way. It's a very short quote he said. He said, innovation is saying no to 1,000 things. Again, Steve Jobs. Innovation is saying no to 1,000 things. I would say to you that if you allow other people's priorities to become your priority, then what's going to happen? What's going to happen is that you will never excel, you will never reach any level of success in your life, because you're always chasing other people's goals and dreams and all these other things. And then your stuff, your goals and dreams are put on the back burner and will never, ever, ever be realized, because you're like chasing cats. You're trying to appease everybody else instead of saying no to all these things, because that is not your priority, because in the Western world, you only go around once. Eastern philosophy, it's a different conversation. So what I'm saying is that you and I both have to get into the habit of saying no more often if we want to understand that the most successful people that have ever lived never started on the top. Never. 99.9 of them, at least the ones I've read about, started at the bottom. They learned from great people. They've evolved. They've learned from people that are smarter than them. Maybe they don't have any titles. Maybe these people were just good at a certain thing, and they learned that certain thing and then built upon that. I'm asking you today as we close this episode, is study the successful people. Become a reader. Please become a reader. You don't have to buy the book. Go to the library and get the books. Read the biographies of these people. Watch their stories on YouTube. Watch their interviews. Listen to their teaching. Because if you pick out an idea or two every day and incorporate those ideas to help you achieve some things in your life, you're going to find that your momentum is going to be incredibly fast, and you're going to be so far ahead of the peers in your life that they couldn't even keep up with you. My name is John Carver. Thanks for watching the show, and we'll be back real soon. Thanks so much.